Hey everyone, little special episode of Bogey Proof. Bogey Proof on the road. Eric's traveling today, and Mike here logging in from Massachusetts. But just wanted to chat a little bit about kind of what we're working on this summer with our golf games. But big week in golf with Memorial and the U.S. Women's Open at Pine Needles in I think Southern Pines, North Carolina. But Eric, thoughts on kind of the U.S. Women's Open? I know it's a golf course we've both played, couple superstars back in the mix. What are you excited for this week? And I know the golf course looks sweet.
Yeah, it's I'm really excited really just to watch Pine Needles. It's always fun when you see a course on TV that you've played before and you've hit some of those shots or tried to hit some of those shots. So I'm excited to kind of reminisce on playing it and kind of the familiarity with some of the holes and also to see some of the changes. I know you mentioned this morning that looks like there's a lot more native area out there than when we were there in college. So I think I'm most excited for Pine Needles and kind of what it brings to the table this week.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's some really cool storylines. Obviously, Annika's back in the mix. Nellie's first tournament back, and kind of some fledgling young stars like we kind of always seem to have on the LPGA tour. Year in and year out. But agreed. I think you're gonna step up. Pine Needles is a unique place. I'm interested to kind of see where they throw some of the camera towers, where they're kind of watching a lot of shots from, because you don't think about that when you're out there playing golf. And we're out there walking 18 holes. I've played it a few times, I think maybe twice, and I think there's a couple spots that I put some camera towers in, but I don't know. So I think we're going to see some angles that we probably haven't seen before, but really great stretch on the front nine, some awesome par fours and par three stretch. I just think of like 4, 5, 6, 7. That's as good as it gets for like 4 stout holes in a row. Excited to see the best in the world play those. And then back nine's a ton of fun right out of the gate. Par 5, you got to sling it off the tee, make some birdies, but also a lot of bogeys and some tough holes coming in. So yeah, more excited than anything just to watch the golf course and see them hit some of the shots that we tried to hit back in the day.
Right. I saw a pretty wild, or heard a pretty wild stat. I don't remember the exact numbers, but there's just about the same amount of teenagers in the field as there are 30-year-olds.
It was funny. It's funny you say that. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but the fact when you have to have a whole category in your age breakdown of 14 to 19, that tells you a little bit of a story of, right, the US Open. If you had 14 to 19, you might have 2 on a good year. One high school kid and one, freshman in college. So, I think let's find those numbers. And then I want to see what the men's US Open qualified, because we haven't had sectionals yet, we had like the one sectional that was kind of mostly PGA Tour players, and it was all tour players, and one of the Cootie brothers made it through. Or not Cootie brothers, Travis Vick from Texas.
Travis Vick, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Vick.
So, right, and, he's a guy that's played in a bunch of USGA championships, semifinals of the USAM last year. Most certainly, he's probably 21 years old, but definitely not, just a random high schooler. So, yeah, we'll have to look at those numbers and compare it, and excited for the golf course this year. And, it just makes me, I watched the first 9 holes on kind of like the YouTube, flyover stuff, and it looks sick. I mean, the restorations look top notch, and they're doing it right down in Pinehurst. It seems like every other day they're restoring, one of the numbers or Southern Pines, and really kind of bringing it back to what kind of this old look, and kind of how the ball should be played, where you're hitting it on the ground and kind of seeing where it ends up. And I think Matt said it a million times, golf is so much more fun when the ball is on the ground doing things, right? And we're going to see that at Pinehurst this week. And you see it even more with the girls, because they just don't hit it that high and they don't spin it as much. So you have to use the contours of the greens, contours of the fairways for at a place like Pine Needles, to get it in the appropriate spots. But
right, and like you said too, I think it's gonna have a little bit of an old school feel to it too, just because there's not a lot of room out there for big grandstands and stuff like that. And the property as a whole is pretty big. So I feel like they're still gonna be able to fit the normal normal amount of fans on property, just with a lot less grandstands. It's going to be a lot more walking in between holes and kind of through the pine needles and under the pine trees, I feel like, rather than built up grandstands.
Yeah. And they had the US Women's Senior Open there, right? Like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Can we get a US Women's Senior Open at Mid Pines across the street? That's where they need to be playing that. That would be a pretty cool golf course for kind of the older crowd to be playing. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to see that first tee shot and I'm just going to want to be down there. I can tell you that. But all right, let's dive into kind of a little bit of prep. Obviously you're on the road here today, hence our little on the road special, but where are you coming from? Let's kind of start there, and what you're working on with your game and kind of what the schedule looks like. And, I got a couple things going on here back in Massachusetts, working on my game and playing, but give us kind of rundown on what you're working on and what kind of maybe the next couple months looks like.
Yeah. So, played today, played my practice round, kind of a little bit of a prep day for the Virginia State AM qualifier I'm playing in on Tuesday. So, a little less than a week from now. But yeah, really the last kind of like 2 or 3 weeks, I kind of turned on the practice mode, and whether it's on my drive home from work, stopping to putt for 30 minutes, or showing up to the golf course an extra 30 minutes early before a normal round of golf to practice a little bit. Just have really kind of turned on the true practice with a purpose, I guess.
Yep.
Over the past 2 or 3 weeks, kind of leading up to this qualifier next week, and then we'll see how it goes, obviously, and then in August I'm playing in the U.S. Mid-Am qualifier, which is at Keswick again this year, which is a club just outside of Charlottesville. But the main reason I'm playing in it is because the following week the state Mid-Am is at Keswick.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah,
it'll be nice to play the U.S. Mid-Am qualifier as a nice little like competitive round of golf / practice round ahead of the state Mid-Am tournament. So we got that to look forward to in August. The state AM qualifier I'm playing in next week's got 55 guys, and they haven't released the amount of spots or anything yet, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be like 6 or 7 spots.
Yeah, I know it's small in Virginia.
Yeah, the Richmond gets kind of the big qualifiers. I think the first one was in Richmond today. They had like 100 guys for 12 spots or something like that. So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm playing at Williamsburg Golf Club, so kind of out east in Virginia. I chose this spot mainly because of the date, but also I have played the golf course before, so saw it today for the second time, and playing it on Tuesday will be the third time I've seen it. So pretty comfortable. It's a pretty cool golf course, short grass, kind of all over the place. It's Bermuda tee to green, super grainy greens, which I didn't remember. That was a little bit of a surprise today when I was out there, how grainy the greens were. You kind of get an uphill putt into the green and it breaks a foot more than it looks like it should.
Honestly, a hot day too, the grass is just like popping down there. It'll be even extra grainy today.
There was probably like a 5-foot difference between into the green and down grain putts today. It was crazy.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's a really fun golf course. Really cool green complexes with a lot of kind of like mounds around the greens, all short grass. So if you miss a green, you got to be a little creative with your shot there. And I think that's really probably the most important part of playing a good round of golf at this place, is kind of right around the greens and on the greens. So we'll see how it goes. I kind of played a standard 18 holes today, and then 4 or 5 tee shots, either hit 3 wood or hit a different club off the tee, and then messed around a little bit on the greens. Just kind of putt into some different locations and hit some chip shots and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I think it's beneficial anytime you get it. You've had a competitive. You played in a qualifier there last time, so you have not only like not only an extra round under your belt, but an extra competitive round. So that will pay dividends too. And getting down there and doing your prep today and kind of going through that process, I think is all worthy and stuff you got to do if you plan to be successful. But yeah, no, that, I mean, you're going about it the right way, and sounds like a really cool golf course. And from the picture you sent, Bermuda's tough, but I mean, if you know how to play it, and obviously being down in Virginia, you've got some more exposure to it, and yeah, it's really kind of these next 4 or 5 days. You talk about those kind of being the important pieces. What are you going to do? Like, you got a place around you where you can hit some of kind of those high nippers and some different types of shots on Bermuda down grain and into the grain, try to, recreate some of those lies.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a little tough. It's Kenridge weekend at Farmington, so I'll be at work pretty much all day Friday, Saturday. I'm working a shorter day on Sunday, and probably Sunday afternoon I'll probably just sneak out to Spring Creek and probably just hit some balls and chip and putt.
Yep.
And then Monday I'm thinking of probably just going out to Williamsburg on Monday, and just get a day, kind of a day of practice in Williamsburg, and just spend the night in Williamsburg. So we'll see. The little unfortunate timing, I was planning to play kind of my practice round on Monday and just get a full day of practice in the day before the qualifier, but the club's hosting an event on Monday, so couldn't play my practice round that day. So the timing of everything didn't work out as I initially planned when I chose this location. But we'll see. I think I'll probably come out on Monday sometime, and there's like 5 or 6 golf courses in Williamsburg. Williamsburg National has a great practice facility, and it's Bermuda as well. So I might just head over there and practice for the day.
What about what's it called, the Golden Horseshoe?
Yeah, Golden Horseshoe. I still haven't been there, but apparently it's the best golf course in Virginia, like east of Richmond. So.
Yeah, I know they have that kind of that whole stretch, like southeast
Kings
of
Mill,
Williams
too.
Mary. Yeah, William Mary there.
Yeah, Kings Mill hosts a LPGA event.
Yeah, two courses. Yeah.
Yep. So Williamsburg's a sneaky golf destination in the state, and it's not too bad of a drive for me. It's about an hour and a half, so I'm pretty limited with choosing qualifying locations. I kind of just have to pick the date that works best and go from there, rather than pick the golf course that works best. So ideally I would be driving an hour and a half for it, but it is what it is. I'm glad that obviously I've seen the golf course before. So
yeah, and I mean, like, it's kind of an adventure in itself, right? It's like you go down there, you get your work in today, and then your plan of, hey, Monday I'm going to go spend the day, I'm going to spend the night. And when you have limited days off and you have limited kind of the ability to do that kind of stuff, you kind of have to have fun with it, right? Like I did it last year, traveling to play a date in a golf course for a USAM qualifier that I really wanted to play in. I had to take a day off. I had to travel on a Sunday and play a practice round and miss a day of work on Monday, but I just kind of made it a mini vacation and enjoyed it. And yeah, probably am not going to get through in a USAM qualifier, but I had a good time. I learned from it, became a better golfer. So like, I think, I don't know, you kind of, you said it right? Like you have limited days that work. So you just kind of roll with it and do what you can to be successful.
Exactly. Yeah. And obviously like I'm at the point right now too, where like work's really busy and like I can only play in a handful of stuff. So why not like put all my effort into the couple of things that I do play in during the summer.
Yep. Yeah. No,
but yeah. So I have a question for you, Mike.
Yes.
You kind of along the lines of like prep and like qualifiers and stuff like that. So explain to maybe some people listening that aren't as familiar with kind of the nature of a qualifier. How's the mindset a little different during going into an 18-hole qualifier for you versus say going into a 36-hole stroke play event?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're correct in the point that it's a completely different mindset. I think, we'll say the Mass Am, a tournament that I've played in a few times, have tried to qualify for, maybe 5 or 6 times, and have been successful, have been unsuccessful, but it's one of those things where you don't have to go and shoot 5 under. In a 36 hole stroke play, like, yeah, you're trying to take it deep and you're trying to play really well on day one because, it makes it easier to make the cut, or maybe you play in a later group. But I think from a qualifier standpoint, you really are just trying to go out there and, hit as many good golf shots as you can, and recognize that, like, even par or a couple over has a really, really good shot. So, you might not take on a crazy amount of risk. But then on the flip side of that, you recognize, like, as much as you may be trying to take it a little bit deep in the 36 hole event because you want to go out there and win it, and you have 36 holes to get some shots back in a qualifier. If you make a double on the front 9 or on the first hole, like, you can start to panic very quick. So you really have to, settle in, just play golf, and try not to, do too much. But it's different. I mean, I've had moments where I've been successful doing it, and then moments where I've struggled, right? Where I, play a poor front 9 and shoot 40 on the front 9. And next thing you know, I think I have to shoot 2 under on the front, and I go after some pins that I shouldn't have. And next thing you know, you shoot 78 and 76 gets in. So I think it's a tough mindset. I'm in the kind of the modern day now, they put all the scores online. And I'm someone who actually likes to look at the scores. I don't look at them all day long, but, like, I'll look at them after 9 if I'm in a later tee time, or after 14 holes or something. I feel like I've played in enough, like, AMs and opens and qualifiers and stuff like now that, like, I have a good sense of, like, what the number is going to be before I even show up on that day. Depending on, especially, like, how the conditions and the pins and stuff are out there.
Right.
But sometimes you got to tailor your game a little bit, and you got to, I mean, like, I can think back on a Mass Open qualifier where, I looked at the scores as a later tee time, and I was, like, even through 15 holes, and I knew I had a couple shots to play with, and I bogeyed the last 2 holes. Luckily, I got in on the number. But you know what? If I didn't look at that and I probably kept my head down, I probably don't bogey the last 2 holes, because I think I have a little bit of flexibility. So everything goes each way. Like, sometimes it benefits you, sometimes it doesn't. So, like, I don't know if there's really a formula for success outside of figuring out what works best for you.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's on your kind of note too of, like, it's a competitive round of golf. Anything can happen, and you could go make a double on the first hole or turn 4 over and then start to press. And in reality, if you had gone and shot even on the back, maybe you get yourself into a playoff or something like that.
Yep.
I feel like I definitely learned a lot kind of along those lines last year, and same qualifier, turned it even, bogey 10, doubled 11, and all of a sudden I was 3 over through 11, and ultimately 3 over got into a playoff. Yep. And I kind of pressing a little, made a couple mistakes coming in, and I think I shot 5 over, and it's really easy to do. And it's one of those things too that I feel that just the more of them you play in, the more obviously comfortable in the setting you are, but also the more you understand, like you said, that 1 over, 2 over, a lot of times it's a pretty good score when it comes to these qualifiers. Because at the end of the day, if someone goes out there and shoots 66 and someone shoots 72 and comes in 6th place, and there were 6 spots, that 66 and the 72 ultimately are the same thing.
Yep, you're just trying to get to the championship, right? So
exactly.
I think it's one of those things too. It's a great opportunity to build. Like, I think, obviously the exempt players are going to be the bulk of the people that are, trying to win a championship, right? Like, for the Virginia Mid-Am, right? The bulk of the best players are going to be exempt. But every single year, there is a group of players that play well in a qualifier and parlay that play into really good playing, playing at the AM or the Mid-Am, or, like, maybe you go out there and you qualify, and you play well, and then you play decent in the AM, and next thing you know, like, you've parlayed yourself into a really good summer, and then you peak at the mid-am, right? So like it's all a building process. And I think whether you go and you qualify or you don't qualify, you have to take something from it. Sometimes it's more difficult than other times. And obviously when you have success, you learn from you learn very quickly, but you learn very quickly from failure too. So I think for like people listening out there that are maybe getting more competitive or wanting to do this type of stuff, like unless you jump into the pool, jump into the fire, like you're never going to really learn. So I think, it's what I try to just go in there and, execute the best I can, and not worry about the number. But, with that being said, right, like if you're someone who likes to look at the scoreboard, do that. I don't know. Everyone's different. They're tough. I've missed on a lot more qualifiers than I've been successful with. I can tell you that.
Right.
But yeah,
right.
I mean,
go ahead.
No. I was done.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and that's kind of my thought process too with playing the U.S. Mid-Am qualifier the week before the state Mid-Am. It's just like an extra competitive round. It's fortunate that it's at the same golf course. So it'll be nice to have that extra competitive round at the same golf course under my belt ahead of that championship week. But it's the mindset's completely different. And I don't know, for me, I don't think I'm a scoreboard watcher. But at the same time, if I had looked at the scoreboard last year, I probably would have, I might have, or who knows, I might have made a different decision if I had looked at the scoreboard last year and kind of realized the position I was in rather than assuming I was in a worse position. Yeah,
it's tough. I mean, I think you gotta stick to what you believe is the right way to go about it. I don't, and at the end of the day, right, like if you believe in your process and you believe in the work that you've done, whether you know the score or you don't, like maybe it impacts the way you go about it, but it shouldn't impact the way you execute. It does, because that's just the reality and we're human beings. But like that's when you really have to like lean in, right? And in that case, right, you're 3 over through 11, whether you have to make all pars or you think you have to make like 2 birdies, like you're capable of making 2 birdies in the last 7 holes. So it's just like you got to lean into it.
Yeah, I think too, and then that goes back into kind of like the prep time and like kind of going in with a plan, especially I think in qualifiers, kind of going in with a plan and sticking to that plan no matter what situation you think you are in, I think is pretty important in qualifiers. I think when, at least from my experience last summer, I feel like I kind of strayed away from my plan when I thought I needed a couple birdies in the last few holes. Yep. And ultimately that's kind of what hurt me the most.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and it's maybe not the plan in this example, but like for me, I've always felt there's a ton of value in going to golf courses that you've played a handful of times. Like in my experience of like qualifying places, whether it be in Mass or like last year qualified for the Illinois Open, like I played at a golf course that I played a couple times and I just like, I feel comfortable there. I know the lines off the tee. I know I've been successful there in the past. And like at some point that's going to creep in. So, or if you haven't had a ton of success somewhere, you still have that little bit of scar tissue saying like, hey, like I struggled here before, but like, I know that that's not the right play. I'm going to go execute this other shot. So like, there's still like a connection of what, now what the correct play is. So I think that's beneficial. And you got to lean into that prep. That's something I'm trying to do, to kind of parlay it into what I'm doing this summer. So I played in a 2-day event in Chicago, a little invitational, nothing crazy, but a fun little difficult golf course, and shot 75 both days and shot a few over. And, it was actually 1 under on the 12th tee both days. So, and not finishing, just did not finish rounds. I mean, don't get me wrong, the most difficult part of the golf course was definitely the back nine. There's some hazards and some shots that really called for some, swinging the golf club properly. But so tried to kind of make that my basis for this year, and then came back and tried to qualify for the Mass Open here, and struggled at a really funky golf course. But with that being said, went up, earlier in the week before that, and did my prep and mapped out the greens and figured out. And honestly, I swung it really poorly and missed a couple shots that I normally wouldn't miss. And I shot 79. Did I want to shoot 79? No. But like, could I have easily shot 85 on that day? I could have in a heartbeat. So like, taking something from that too, that like, hey, like, you didn't have your best stuff and you still played okay. It's not like I'm practicing a tremendous amount where I have this expectation that I'm going to shoot, a couple under. But that's kind of given me a little bit of something to work on, and have been practicing quite a bit. Played with Matt last weekend and been playing since I've been home, and actually went up to Great Horse today and put a good probably 3-hour practice session in. Spent about an hour with my Uncle Billy, really kind of working on some stuff and figuring out a couple good thoughts. And I think, honestly, I just haven't beaten balls, and I probably have hit 250 golf balls each of the last 3 days. And I think like that's like, I'm getting a little bit of the swing and kind of the muscle memory that I haven't had, leading up thus far. So excited about playing this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Hornblower, really good field here in New England, going down to Eastern Massachusetts, and definitely going to have to play to my competition, because it's super strong, really difficult, funky golf course, but a golf course I've played before and had a little bit of success on. So looking forward to that. And then nothing else finalized. I'm going to definitely play in a US Mid-Am qualifier, and probably one other thing, whether that be a USAM qualifier or an Illinois Open or something like that. Just kind of finalizing those details as I, try to get a job here, as I finish up this grad program. So, if I'm back in Illinois, I'll probably do something like a Illinois Open qualifier and try to do what I did last year, because they ran a really great tournament, and be a good time to get back into that.
Yeah, it's my favorite time of the year for sure, as far as golf goes. Personally, kind of this next stretch of 2 months. Obviously, it's kind of amateur golf season, so whether it's events that I'm playing in, or even kind of just following other events online, whether it's like USAM qualifiers or bigger amateur events that go on throughout the summer. And then obviously today, we've got the final match of NCAAs on this evening, which I'm looking forward to watching the end of that. I don't know. There's just something about amateur golf for me. Looking at a leaderboard of a bunch of names that I know 6 of the names of 100 people, that just, I don't know, I'm so much more intrigued than sometimes watching a PGA Tour event.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool. Like the NCAA tournament is a great example, because like you probably have like heard all the names that are playing, and at least like I'm someone who will like look at golf stat occasionally and like see some of the scores, and I probably know all the names, and I know, hey, this is a really great player. Like I know, hey, he did really well in the USAM, but like I maybe have never seen him hit a golf shot before. And now I'm seeing him up close and personal play a really difficult golf course, and see how really good these guys are.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see the graphics from the individual championship playoff of the ball speeds from the 3 guys that were in the playoff on their tee shots?
Yeah, like 184, 189, 194, something like that.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, but like with that being said, right, that they fly at what, 315 and 1 under 1. So like I think like these guys are all great, and they're great amateur players, but like obviously, right, like I think there's some intrigue too in the fact that you have a freshman that's 160 pounds and flies at 315, but like he's got to work on his wedge game, and like he's got a ton. He misses a lot of putts. Like I think like there's some intrigue in that, and just like some nuance that you don't get on the PGA Tour, because some of those guys on the PGA Tour just like don't seem to miss. So I think like, and I mean the team component is so much fun. I mean, like just having the guys out there, and to see like Stanford women's golf just like beat everyone down all year long and then get it done, or the men's the top 1 through 8 ranked teams, get the make the 8 match play. Like that's pretty good stuff. That's pretty good stuff. And that's like coming in clutch too. Like, you're a top 8 team, and you go and you execute enough to finish there at the end of the year. I think that shows a lot of ability, obviously. And, I think just shows like coaches preparing their guys for college golf at the end of the year and getting it done. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's a lot of fun. I love when the USAM comes around. And I mean, I can think back on like us going to a bar in Chicago to watch like the USAM. Just, and like, we like obviously had to have them like turn on the TV, but like, we're in there to watch some, I don't know what it was. Was it like at Pinehurst maybe? It
was Pinehurst, Andy Ogletree.
Okay. One of the Live Golf guys.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, he's playing one of the he's playing the stud from Vanderbilt.
Yeah, he was playing Augustine. Yep. Yeah.
I think just on the note of Live Golf, I think we're gonna have probably our next episode will probably be a full episode on that nonsense.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. Obviously, some big names with DJ and Gooch and Kevin Na and stuff like that. I'm super intrigued. I want to watch the event. I want to see what goes on. And so I think, maybe I agree. We're going to have to do a kind of a preview maybe next week before they tee it up on the 9th through the 11th. And then maybe give it like another week or something and see. I mean, we got to think that, PGA Tour commissioner and a bunch of the stars on the PGA Tour are going to have some comments about what's going on there. So.
Right.
But
yeah, it's a crazy week of golf all around.
Yep. But yeah, no, excited to kind of get into it and excited to prep more. And, we'll keep everybody posted as to how's it going. And,
maybe we'll throw in the Instagram story, like a link to live scoring or something.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely can put a link. Hornblower, I'm not sure how live the scores will be, but really cool field. Yeah. I mean, really we have like New England AM champ and, really so, and like he's from Connecticut. So like you're getting really the best players from all over. Like my pairing is freshman plays at Lafayette, and then the other guy just finished up his senior year at Siena. So like, obviously not, premier Division I players, but like 2 guys that have, that are playing golf at the Division I level in the New England mid-Atlantic area, and stacking themselves up against some really good mid-ams. And my cousin Ryan's playing in it, right? So really good juniors in the state. So I think my goal is just going to be to go play well and try not to get beat and embarrassed too much by my cousin who's 10 years younger than me. So
all right, one last little fun question for you. Competitive round of golf. One thing I feel like that people overlook is the energy that is drained out of you.
Oh my God!
Playing a competitive round of golf. What does your snack intake look like, or your beverage intake look like over the course of 4 or 5 hours grinding it out?
Yeah, and I agree. You are drained after a round of competitive golf, let alone maybe 36 for a USAM qualifier or a college tournament where you might play 36 holes in a day. It's tough out there. It's a mental grind. I think that's what wears you down probably more than even the physical sometimes. But I drink a lot of water out there. I'll definitely do some like hydration supplements. I really like Noon tablets. NUUN is kind of my favorite one. So trying to have at least one or maybe one on each 9 holes, just to kind of not have to pee every 3 holes, just so you don't have to drink quite as much. And from a snacking standpoint, I'm not too fancy. I usually have a bag of almonds in my bag, just if like they don't have snacks at the tournament. But most well-run tournaments will at least have like some pieces of fruit or granola bars and stuff like that. And just trying to have something every few holes. Have a banana and a granola bar on 9 holes, and maybe a protein bar on the other. Not anything crazy, but like, I mean, you're going to easily burn 1,000-1,500 calories. So at least trying to match up calorie intake with what you're losing is kind of what I'm thinking.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I really like, so you mentioned like the little hydration packets. Like, I like water, but when I'm like today was 95 degrees when I was out on the golf course, and I prefer something that's got a little flavor. So what I like, my go-to lately has just been getting like a couple bottles of Propel, just like flavored water.
Yep.
And then just some sort of combination of snacks. I'm a big peanut butter fan, so probably like some peanut butter crackers or peanut butter and jelly, and then probably a banana or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to mix it up. You can't like eat 4 granola bars or 4 Cliff bars out there. And I think I've grown into eating more on the golf course, just because as I've become a little bit more aware of kind of like, hey, like you need to eat, or you're mentally and physically just not going to be where you're supposed to be. So like just forcing yourself to have something, even if you're someone who doesn't like to, because I know there's people out there that like to play on an empty stomach, just like they like to maybe run on an empty stomach, or they don't want to feel full when they're swinging the golf club. But like, I think there needs to be a level of consistency that you probably need to obtain by having something.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. I might have to mix in a little beef jerky. I ended up playing the practice round today with a guy who caddies at Kinloch and who is also playing in the qualifier next week. And he had a big old bag of beef jerky. And on the 18th hole, he was trying to just like finish off the bag and offered me a little bit. So had a couple pieces of beef jerky, hit a good tee shot right down the middle, had 100 yards in, and hit it to about 8 inches. So might have to mix in some beef jerky just for the juju.
I don't know if you have a Costco membership, but Costco Kirkland beef jerky, well priced, fantastic flavor, both steak and turkey options. If you like those,
I do indead have a Costco membership, so might have to head over there for all my qualifier snacks this week.
Yeah, hey, go head there for all your beef jerky needs. I can tell you that.
Okay, I think Coach Edie crushes the Kirkland beef jerky.
Oh yeah, I only know that. Coach Edie does. But my old roommate Scott, he's a fitness nut, and like he's like not a snacker at all. But like he's like a big protein guy. So like his snack would be like a big bag of beef jerky, because it's got like 600 calories and like 50 grams of protein for like 4 servings or whatever it is. And right, it's because at that point you've dehydrated all the fat out of it and it's just pure protein. But I like that option. I actually ate a bag of that stuff not too long ago, last trip to Costco. So
all right, well, I think that wraps up our a good way to wrap up our competitive golf conversation and kind of where we're at. Wonder what Joey's eating out there on the golf course.
Yeah, I don't know much. I don't know what he's eating. He's probably grabbing something from the back of the pro shop or whatever they got going. He seems to be working a lot of hours, so hopefully he's eating well. Hopefully they're treating him decent up there.
One last little note. Did you see the US 4-ball finalists?
Kittleson and
Drew Stoltz.
Yep.
the guy that's on Colt Gnosis podcast.
Yep.
Co-host. And so they did a little breakdown of kind of like the U.S. 4-ball week and everything. And they had, as far as mindset goes, playing competitive golf, it seems like they had the most relaxed mindset you could have had. They came in drinking every day. They were having a good time. They had like Yeti cups filled up with a cocktail every day. It was quite the experience for them.
Yeah, I mean, his partner is an old pro who's an absolute stud. So
yeah, I think
good to have him.
I think the second round of stroke play, they shot 66, I think, and his partner shot 66. Kilson's a really good player. I think he played in the U.S. I think he played in the U.S. Junior actually at Longmeadow a long time ago. Really prolific, junior and amateur career, and just never really kind of made it as a pro. But yeah, no, I kind of saw that Twitter thread, and I know he was caddying for someone too at Charles Schwab, or like in the Pro-Am or something. He caddied for he caddied for him last year too.
Who'd he caddy for?
I can't remember. He missed the cut.
God, who was it? I don't know, but I remember. Yeah, I kind of read through it, and I hadn't had an opportunity to listen to it, but I should go back there and do it. And I mean, I think a 4-ball, and especially right, like if they're both having a couple of drinks and kind of feeding off each other, and that's how they play together at home. I mean,
right.
If you're capable of emulating what you do with your buddies in a competitive round of golf, hey, that's all you're looking for. I mean, like,
exactly, yeah.
If you played as well as you play with your buddies, you're going to qualify for everything, right? So it's just like you got to if I learn from that, and obviously those guys have put in a ton of work on their golf games, and aren't just out there obviously they're out there having a lot of fun, but they believe in what they're doing, and believe in their ability. So yeah, I'll have to go back and listen to that.
All right,
Eric, thank you for calling in. Nice to chat with you, and good luck crazy week. Good luck with the crazy week, and you're working hard at work, and I'm working hard on the golf course, and then flip-flop the following week. So
yeah, I that took out a good 45-minute chunk of my drive home, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, and anytime, happy to distract you from probably a not so fun highway drive. But all right, buddy, good chatting. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, have a good one, Mike. See ya.